Perfectly logical instructions can still trigger catastrophic failure when executed simultaneously. If independent systems do not coordinate their actions, they will eventually destroy each other. In computer science, we model this tension using the classic producer-consumer scenario. This involves two independent processes attempting to share a single fixed-size data buffer. They track state using specific variables, an array for the actual data, index pointers for current positions, and a count for total inventory. The producer's logic is straightforward. It generates an item, checks if the buffer is at maximum capacity, inserts the item, and increments the count by 1. The consumer mirrors this process. It checks if the buffer is entirely empty, extracts an item, and decrements the count by 1. On a single core processor executing one task at a time, this code is mathematically flawless. But deploy this exact logic into a modern operating system running parallel processes, and it becomes a ticking time bomb. The failure originates in what operating systems define as a critical section. This is the highly specific segment of any program where shared memory is actively accessed and modified. This diagram shows the producer's C code, highlighting the critical section, inserting an item, updating the index, and running count++. The consumer's code has a matching critical section for count-. Lacking mutual exclusion, the operating system allows both processes to enter these sections simultaneously. When processes overlap inside a critical section, the operating system loses absolute control over the state logic. Variables are modified blindly, setting the stage for invisible data corruption. To understand exactly how this data corrupts, we have to isolate the variables count++ and count-, from the rest of the program and examine their behavior at the hardware level. A single line of high-level code creates an illusion of atomicity. It looks like one uninterruptible action, but processors do not execute high-level syntax. This vertical timeline shows the 3 distinct steps required to execute count++ at the machine level. The processor must read, modify, and write back to memory. Assume our shared count variable currently equals exactly 5. The producer begins step 1. It successfully reads that baseline value of 5 into its local register. Then, the operating system forces a context switch. It pauses the producer mid-execution and hands the CPU to the consumer. The consumer executes its own read instruction. Because the producer never finished updating, it unknowingly pulls a stale value of 5. It proceeds uninterrupted through modify and write steps. It decrements to 4, writing it to shared memory. The OS switches back to the producer. It resumes exactly where it left off, holding its original local value, unaware of the consumer's actions. It executes its final write step, forcing a 6 into shared memory, overwriting the consumer. 1 item was added and 1 was removed. The mathematics dictate that the total count should equal 5, but the system now permanently records it as 6. This specific timing collision is called a race condition. It definitively proves that perfect logical syntax cannot safely prevent concurrent data corruption without direct intervention from the operating system. The original code makes one native attempt to prevent buffer overflow, a while loop designed to do nothing as long as count equals the maximum buffer size. In system architecture, this programming pattern is known as busy waiting or spin waiting. A valid critical section solution requires progress. This rule dictates that any waiting process must not degrade the overall efficiency of the system. This line graph maps the consequence of a spin wait. Evaluating an empty loop millions of times per second forces CPU utilization to spike to 100%. The processor reaches maximum exhaustion, achieving 0 computational progress. Relying on high-level code loops to check variable states actively strangles hardware resources. Fixing this requires replacing loops with actual operating system architecture. To secure shared memory, we rely on synchronization primitives provided directly by the operating system. The first tool is the mutex, derived from mutual exclusion. This diagram illustrates a mutex acting as a strict binary lock. We deploy wait and signal commands directly around the boundaries of the critical section. Once the producer executes wait mutex and acquires the lock, the OS physically bars the consumer from progressing past its own wait command. The producer completes its read, modify, and write cycle in total isolation. Only when it finishes does it call signal mutex to release the lock. The mutex forces parallel hardware to behave sequentially for a fraction of a millisecond. It kills the race condition at its root by restoring the illusion of atomic operations. One vulnerability remains. Processes still need a way to wait for buffer space or inventory without triggering a 100% CPU spin weight. We resolve this exact problem using semaphores. This animated infographic maps the abstract concept of a semaphore to a physical plate rack. The chef acts as the producer, the waiter acts as the consumer, and two distinct counters track the exact number of open and occupied slots. Look at the empty semaphore. If the rack is completely full, the OS forces the producer into a sleep state. It utilizes 0 CPU cycles while it waits. When the consumer takes an item, it signals the empty semaphore. This trigger tells the OS to immediately awaken the sleeping producer. The inverse coordination happens when the rack is empty. The consumer uses the full semaphore to go to sleep, relying on the producer to signal it awake when new items arrive. This OS-managed sleep and wake coordination completely eliminates the destructive CPU burning of a spin weight. By combining mutexes for absolute data safety and semaphores for frictionless coordination, the operating system transforms unpredictable hardware into a highly synchronized engine.